Um, but move to the front. That's going to be our motto. That motto isn't just in our room here. Our activities, you guys, are going to move us to the front. We're going to get kicked off. I wanted to first say welcome back, everybody. I think that hey, listen, look at you guys. This is what I'm talking about. This is it. Hey yo. All right. Well, move to the front side is no move to the front, you guys, is the idea that this is going to be one of those years that I don't think you guys, this is going to be monumental for all of us. It is. It is. There is a lot of economic data right now that is pointing to activity that we haven't really seen and sustainable activity that we haven't seen probably since before 21. We're coming into a bit of a weird time of our market in that demand has been pinched by interest rates and affordability. I don't think that's going to change on top of us. I really don't. However, we know that interest rates are shifting. We know that interest rates are coming down. We know that there's an opportunity there. I heard it from a few of our friends that they were actually getting refinance calls last week. Don't do it. Not yet. Wait, hold on. My point there is that as we move into this year for the first time in a long time, there's going to be opportunity that we haven't seen. And part of that opportunity, you guys, is based on the activities that you've done in the last 6 months and the activities that you're going to do in the next 6 months. So one of the things that I've been thinking quite a bit about in terms of adding continuity to your message, right? So continuity is that the consumer is looking for what from you? Context and opportunity, right? So as we move into this conversation today, we're going to move into that. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk a little bit about, I have handouts for everybody in the room. We can also get these sent to those of you who aren't in the room. If you haven't identified your 411 and what it is that we're actually going over, and then the actual worksheet, I have that too. I'm going to challenge you guys a little bit later on that. In terms of how you're going to goal set and then how you're going to hold yourself accountable to those goals. I was talking to Chad a little bit. We're going to bring that up in a minute as well about what goal setting looks like and staying in front of those activities. So, Jordy, go ahead and kick it off. All right, Steve, you want to come up? Steve and Mark? Steve. Tell us a little bit about this wonderful woman here, and tell us a little bit more about the 7L kickoff.
I've got some books of the 7 levels of communication if you needed one of the books. And Carla, who's going to be our guest speaker, I've got her entire agenda here. She's going to be with us almost every single week for the entire year. Carla is the #1 teacher of the elements of within Raspy Voice. She is the #1 instructor for Michael Mayer, who is the author of the book. So we've got her. It's going to be a terrific opportunity for all of us to learn about the book, but also some really good features about our career too. So
yeah, it's very exciting. So starting Thursday at 1:00, and every Thursday the entire year. The first will be at 1:00 from 1 to 2, and we're going to dive into, as Steve said, 7 levels of communication. Then after that agenda, weeks of mastery. We're going to sit and break down agent to grow. Idea is that we're going to bring, different things to you to help you grow your business and really crush your numbers. If you set your goals for this year, we're going to help you beyond what you set for your year. Carla's in fact a fantastic instructor. On the 15th, Michael Mayer will be here by Zoom to do a Q&A. That's exciting. So sign up. If you want a link, I have a link for you to sign up on, because for whatever reason, that RSVP, click on that button doesn't work. I will send you a link to sign up for this. And then there's going to be featured sponsors each week. Excited about it. Then after the 7th week, we're going to then go to 11 to 12. Each week for the entire year. So sign up for this one starting January 4th. We look forward to seeing you guys. So Thank you.
I've got, this happens to be the agenda, you guys, that Mark is referring to. We're going to have Carla here once a week, the entire year. I'll get copies of this particular agenda. It'll tell you exactly what she's going to be talking about. She's terrific. It'll help your business a lot.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you to Pillar and to Steve's individually, you guys. I appreciate you stepping up. This was not an inexpensive endeavor. So they made it make sense. They put it all together, and Carla is fantastic. We've obviously had her in a couple of times. She has an opportunity. She has a way of bringing focus to conversations with real estate agents about their business and about their activities. In addition to that, I think that the people that are coming together for this are going to form a cohort or of sorts of people who are committed to doing the things that we need to do. And that's where we're coming into some of our activities for 24, you guys.
And it showed that there wasn't any late fees applied yet. So if you have not made your payment, definitely do it ASAP by calling them this morning. Otherwise, logging into your portal. I will send out another email or text reminder to those that are showing as unpaid, just because they haven't applied the late fee yet. It looks like they're maybe giving you 1 day grace period. So definitely don't miss out on that. Get it paid ASAP. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. I know the SPAR dues just came due again, but these are your first quarter MLS dues. So again, if these don't get paid, you lose your MLS access, which is never good. So reach out to me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll send a text to everyone that's still showing as unpaid.
Thank you. Ooh, now we have our broker minute. It's okay. It's okay. I wouldn't be a morning person without coffee either.
I drink a lot of dew, but coffee's yuck. All right. Been asked recently, like, what do I need to know for probate? One of the first things I tell them is to talk to your title company. Make sure it's not, that it really is a probate, that there really is going to be an executive, that it's not a trust, that there isn't something unusual about it. And then I send out kind of a canned email. I got to turn around to read it. Real estate and probate, a couple of things to remember. Personal representative, that's the person that is like in charge of the estate. Even though everyone is going to know who they are ahead of time, they cannot encumber, lease, distribute real estate for 30 days from the date of issuance of the letters of testamentary. Letters of testamentary sounds like it should be like multiple somethings because like it's letters. It's 1 page. Put a copy up here. That's all it is. It does say letters of testamentary, tells you what kind of probate it's going to be. If it's supervised, you've got a court-appointed someone that has to approve the purchase, has to approve the listing, has to approve the price. Usually it's one of the kids who's selling it because a parent died and it's going to be unsupervised. This is actually one I just did. And it's amazing the things that can come up. Once that letter's been issued, you have to wait 30 days. And remember, the day it's issued is day 0. It's 30 days after that. They cannot sign a listing agreement, even with a withhold. They cannot sign anything. They do not have authority for the estate until after that 30 days has passed. During that 30 days, if they're using an attorney, and most are, and even if they're not, it's being advertised somewhere. That is so that if there is an unknown error, if there is a bill, if there's, maybe they just had a new roof put on and the roofer hasn't been paid yet. It gives everyone a 30-day notice that they can put a lien against the estate. Doesn't mean it's going to get paid out. They can put the lien there and secure their position with the estate. We do not get involved in that. We just count 30 days. I don't care if you use your fingers and toes. That's all we do. When the home is sold, the estate is the entity that's the seller. It's not the person. So let's say I'm selling I'm the personal representative for my mom's estate. I'm the only one that signs, even though I'm married. And in our brains, we got the 1 to buy, 2 to sell ingrained. But I'm not the seller if I'm just the personal representative. The estate is the seller. Make sense? Okay. The seller, which is the estate, will have to have an IEN number. That is a tax number, because it's no longer the person with a social security number. It's now an entity. They will have to have a federal ID number. They will have to have a bank account that's tied to that federal ID number, because when it closes, the title company is going to make the check out to the estate, not the family, not the representative. Okay. Probate does not sign arbitration. The reason is when you do a probate, unless you've got like a monster size estate, typically when the house sells, that's almost the end of the entity having any existence. The whole goal is to pay out all the debts, disperse the assets, and close the entity down. No longer exists. You can't have a personal representative sign arbitration that has a 2-year commitment, because the goal is that arbitration. Well, okay, so if you have a 2-year commitment, the goal is the estate's going to be gone before the end of that arbitration. That's why estates should always decline arbitration. Okay. And then it's always asked how to sign. The signature line should read signature personal representation. So it's signature. I mean, the signature, not the word. Personal representative for the estate of, and then whoever that person is. Okay. Yeah, Chad. That's a really good question. The messiest one I ever did. In fact, I've had 2 messy ones, but I think my messiest was my uncle's estate. He bought the land before they were married. Got married, they built a house, they paid a 30-year mortgage off. They had both been married previously. Okay. His children were vested interest in the home. His wife had a marital lien or a marital interest in the house. Vested trumps. They got the money. The wife who paid the 30-year mortgage did not. We all go, whoa, why'd they do that? Well, they think that's how their dad maybe set it up on purpose. There were a lot of family dynamics, but I can't judge it. Shortly thereafter, I get a phone call that there's black mold in the house between the walls on the whole bottom level. My uncle literally built the house himself, hammer and nail. We got pictures of him and grandpa doing it. They hung all the insulation backwards. Really did have mold everywhere. At that point, the estate had already been settled, had dispersed, and there was no one to make accountable. The buyer was SOL. Make sense? I'm not going to answer that. We are not accountants. We are not attorneys. There's limitations on what you can inherit without taxes, and over that, you better have an accountant. Yeah, that's the safe answer. Okay, so like this one, I got a phone call from title. Guess what? Your deceased seller was married. When I met with, you're going, oh yeah. When I met with the family, was an ex-wife. The executive, the probate had done the letters of testamentary. There was an executive. That's who I listed the house with. A couple weeks before closing, guess what? There's a wife and she wants her share. So these do get messy. Listen to those little red flags and the hairs on the back of your neck. Oh, you think that's funny, huh? I have a seller that doesn't like me right now. Yeah, I sent out asking for a review and he was like, I'll put it on my to-do list. I'm like, okay. He's not happy with me because she got paid out. She didn't get all of it. I mean, they did negotiate, but she got a nice little chunk. I don't know how you don't know if your mom and dad are divorced, but I guess if enough years go by, it's just that's the ex and that's the ex, and I don't know. I try to think, what could I learn from something? And sometimes there's nothing. You know? Yeah. The other question is, are you married? How many people know if they're married or not? I think I know. Mark, that gets to be a hard one, doesn't it? Yep. What if you're married in a different country? What if you had a religious ceremony and not a civil ceremony? If you never got a marriage license or filed it, but you wore a white dress? Yeah. Those are some hard questions. I just had a FERPTA one like that. I'll share with you super quick. Big wedding pictures in the living room, different culture, very much all the big white pretty dresses everywhere. She took title as a single woman. I had to ask her, and now I haven't had a response back, and that might be okay. But maybe you weren't single when you took title, as these pictures were older than that, and I sold her the house. And if you are married and he maybe isn't in this country, you got a problem, and you just got to figure out the taxes. Sent her all the IRS forms and you need an accountant email. It's not me. Know your limitations, stay in your lane. You get a probate and you don't know what to do, talk to me, talk to your title people. It will give great direction regardless of what company you use. Okay. Thank you.
As we're beginning to kick off this year, get that. As we're beginning to kick off this year, I will remind everybody here and online, make sure to get your files in on time. Yeah, we talked a little bit about it, but you guys, we're not sticklers for this because we want to be sticklers for it. We're sticklers for it because if something does happen and the Department of Commerce comes back, we want to be able to defend you. And it's not defensible. Yeah. It's not if your documents are aligned in a way that makes sense for you as a salesperson. Oh, we talked about this before, and I'm signing the document, the representation today. We're signing the agency today, and we're signing the purchase agreement today. What do you think the Department of Commerce is going to say to that? You can lose your license today. That's what they're going to say. Do the activities the way that we're supposed to do them as frequently as possible all the time. And the reason is because we have had more issues related to legal claims, related to board complaints, related to Department of Commerce complaints. It's incredibly important for us, you guys, that we get to bulletproof you. Part of the reason why you're with Keller Williams is because we have a system that makes sense to keep you safe. And so here it is. Easiest way for us to keep you safe is you don't get paid if your files have flags. That's the easiest way for us to do it. And we're gonna have to start enforcing that because again, you guys, we get a little bit wonky in certain things because we want to do what's best for you in the moment. But if somebody comes back, it's whose license is on the line, Lynn? Yep, that's it. So I'm going to do her a favor today and ask that you guys do us both a favor and yourself a favor and make sure you're getting your documents in, getting them into the system, getting that opportunity set up. And if you have questions on that, we're going to have Marty is going to be here starting pretty much effectively this week. So be on the lookout for that. All right, kicking off to this year. What is this year and how is this year going to be different? So we all begin at the beginning of the year, right? We all start with this place where we go, it's a brand new year. So I'm going to ask you some questions and you don't have to raise your hand. This is like a little kick in the pants, in the butt. How many of you said last week or even as late as the 31st that this was going to be a different year for you? We all do, right? We all do. I'm going to become the person this year that I wanted to be, that I've wanted to be, that I know I can be. And I know by being that person, I'm going to start to attain the things in my life that I have wanted. Instead of just taking what you're given, you start doing it in a way where you take what you want. So here's the question that I have. How many of you made it to the gym this morning if that was your resolution? Yes. Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm sore already because I made it to the gym. And after I ate the last 2 weeks, everything that I ate, yeah, Carrie came into my office quick this morning and I tried to get up real quick to open the door. My back was like, nope, that's not it. My point is this. Not every day is an opportunity, as we said last week, to change frequency, right? To make a change. Why is January 1st a frequency change? Because it does change everything. The date on the calendar changes, and in our mind, it gives us a clean slate. Now, the reality is you have the ability to do that any day. Just don't, because we get into routine. We get into that function where we're just like constantly letting ourselves down because that's what we do when we're allowed to. My request for you guys is, and we're gonna address this as part of a 411 here, but it's getting very focused on what you want. Talked to a bunch of agents last week here in our market center because it was a weird week, right? That week between Christmas and New Year's for real estate agents is often the kind of week where we go, you know what? I deserve to take some time for me. I deserve to replenish my willingness to do what I do every day. How many of us, though, take that time and actually implement a plan to focus on what we're going into? Or do we just say, you know what? I'm just going to not do anything. Now, here's the thing. If you guys have seen me talk about this before, or talk about goal setting, or talk about what your year looks like, I always put in there time off, vacation time, time for birthdays, times for anniversaries, times for just finding yourself. Last week can be that week for you, right? It can be if you planned it that way. If you just didn't show up last week because, well, you felt like you had other things you'd rather do. If you had a job where you had to go into every day and somebody paid you, where would you have been last week? I'll give you a hint. Where was I last week? Yep, I was here. Somebody pays me to be here, right? A lot of the people that I talked to last week, the ones that are the most focused on their goals for this year, the ones that are the most acutely aware of what it is that they want to accomplish. And guess what? That it started yesterday, right? So how many of you have seen a 411 before? Okay. So I'm gonna do this two ways. We're gonna do this. I apologize, it's gonna be slow because I'm slow. Sorry there, Steve. I'm breaking shit already. It's only 2024 and here I am. So you guys, as I'm handing these out, what I want you to think of and I want you to be aware of is it's not just that you're writing down your goal. Will you do that for me? I appreciate you, brother. Yeah. I promise. You guys, it's not just about, if you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve to this point in your life, right? Whether it's weight loss, whether it's you want to learn how to target shoot, whether you want to learn how to play pickleball, whether you want to learn how to speak a new language, right? Everything starts with that first step. what is that first step usually? Anybody yell it out. What is the first step to making a change? A commitment. It's a thought. It's an idea, right? You said that you wanted to do something different. So if you lived, how many of you have lived your life in a way to this point that is by happen chance, right? You're just kind of here, you work hard, you do your activities, but you're still not growing at the level you thought. Then you look around and you see somebody. I met with a gentleman last week, you guys, 21 years old. Last year, 21 years old. He recorded, thank you, Marky, appreciate you. He recorded 17 sales in his first year in the business in a down year. 17 sales. He's 21. He did not own his own home at the beginning of the year. He had never owned a home. He had never written a deal. He did 17 units last year. I asked him, how did he do 17 units? He said, I don't know. I just did what they told me to do. Okay, that was helpful. Be more specific. What did you do? And he said every single day, the whole year, without any breaks. He goes, I couldn't take a break last year. I was too young. There were too many people that were saying I couldn't do it. My parents, people around me that love me were saying I couldn't do it. Right? This is a tough business. What he did every single day, he got up and he went to work. And in that, he said, I spent 4 hours doing exactly what I was told to do in that 4 hours. He took the MREA book. He's not with KW, by the way. He took the MREA book. They put together a group of people that were doing it together. And he closed 17 transactions. He closed it by calling his sphere, even though he didn't want to, because he felt foolish and small. He accomplished it by door knocking. He accomplished it by setting up a Mojo account. He said, I didn't know what I was getting into when I did this. It's easier than I thought it would be. How many times in our life do we find that in our industry, do we find that people say it's harder than they thought it would be? Because it's just about the activity, you guys. It's that simple. When we start to get creative, and I've used this a couple of times, the model says this, right? We have an affinity for triangles in our group, but group says that models creativity. Models are at the base of what we do, because if we run the models, the activities become easier. It becomes less about choice. So what did I do this morning to make sure that I was ready to go to the gym this morning? Well, and I went yesterday too, because yesterday was the beginning of the year. What did I do? The night before, I made sure, Sunday night, I had made sure that we knew we were going to go to the gym about midday. Well, that was a weird Monday, right? But what about today? So last night, I made sure that the coffee was set, made sure that I had laid out what I was going to wear, and I made sure that my shoes, my shorts, and my hoodie were next to my bed, so that the first thing I did in the morning, I got out, I put them on, I went right downstairs. Knew what my workout was going to be, because I had specified how much time I was going to spend on the elliptical, how much time I was going to spend lifting. And I was specific about that. That was down there ready for me. I was preparing for the thing I wanted to avoid the most, because when my alarm went off at 4:50 this morning, I did not want to get up. I wanted to stay in bed. And I remembered that the person that I want to be isn't the person that stays in bed. The person that I wanted to be, the person that I know that I can be, has to be focused on me doing the activity, right? What is it that when you guys leave here today, what is it? What is it what is the activity that you're going to do? So the 411 sheet is one of them, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to start to get serious about your activities. Okay. So 411 works like this. You have annual, monthly, and weekly goals. Your weekly goals support your monthly goals, and your monthly goals support your annual goals. These goals aren't just goals about your business either. These goals are about your personal finances, about your personal fitness, about some of your personal relationships. What this gives you guys is that minute that you need to stop listening to the voice in your head and start listening to the person that you want to become. What does that mean? That means that the voice in your head will always fail you. It'll always tell you you don't want to get up. It'll always tell you you don't want the pain. Why is that? Because in our mind, you guys, we are fixed in to avoid that pain. Without that pain, without those activities, without getting up and working out, without being intentional about my activities, I start to believe that I'm doing okay. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. We're just going to deal with. I don't need to lose any more weight. I don't need to be more fit. I don't. And all of a sudden, it adds up, right? So you quit working out. Well, that's not the end of the world, right? Now you quit showing up early to the office. So now you're getting in at 9, 10 in the morning. You're a little bit behind your lead gen time, right? The stress starts to increase every single moment. You're not focused on your goal because you know in the back of your head when you're quitting on yourself, and that stress that it adds to you, that moment of question means that you're not holding up your own end of the bargain. So I ask that you will do this year. Use the 411 and take a stand for your business, even though that voice in your head says, I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to make the phone calls. I don't want to knock on the doors. I would rather pretend that I work today than actually work. How many of you, don't raise your hands, just take this one in your head. How many of you have felt like you've done that in your life or your business, where you've given up for the reason that you were doing something simply because it just didn't want to do it? Just gave up, right? Tried the 75 hard a couple of times and I've given up on it. Why? Because I chose to give up. Because I chose in that moment to accept that I had limited control over what I really wanted to accomplish. So at the end, I could give myself a break. Right? Oh, Nick, you mean well, buddy. Tried, right? You did 57 days. 57 wasn't 75, and I quit because I wanted to do the one thing that I said I wouldn't do, which was drink, right? My goal was to say, hey, I want control and power over this. The way we create control and power, you guys, is we focus on what we know works. We know it works because we have people that have done it before us. When I say that I'm going to live my life this year by an MREA approach to our market center, by an MREA approach to my business, and by very consistent activities in my life. You know, date nights, working out more frequently, going to church more if that's what you do. These are the activities. So I want you to take this, and I want you to take this. I'm going to send out, Jordan or myself or Sean will send this out. This is a link to one where you can type it in, because I'm way too type A to write it in. I want it typed. This is one thing that I want you to look at. So what you're going to do is at the very top, you're going to enter your annual goals, job goals. What are you going to do this year? Enter your annual business goals. What is the actual goal for your business? Somebody's going to ask me, what is the difference? The activities you do are your job. The outcome is your business, right? So you are working for your company. That's what you do. Enter annual personal financial goals. This is going to be the number one thing we talk about this year. What are you doing in your life to enhance wealth? How many of you were here for Amanda Dahl? Amanda Dahl for the wealth building event. Okay, we got some work to do. You guys, she delivered, I think, one of the most compelling arguments for wealth building of anybody, in a way that I was really, really, really upset that I missed her that day, but was very grateful for the time that her and I got to spend together. And in the conversations that were leading up and then after this, we're going to be doing more focus on wealth accumulation. And why would we do that? Why do you think that now all of a sudden we're having conversations about wealth at KW? Anybody? Because Gary Keller and his team saw there was one thing that was missing fantastically, not in a good, fantastic way, is that real estate agents, the amount of money that we make, the amount of money that we keep, that amount of money very rarely was being invested in property. How many of you own property? And I will ask you to raise your hand for this one. How many of you own property besides your personal residence? Okay. Without that, our number one vehicle, thanks, Isaac, our number one vehicle for growth in our life is that. Say that if you were to look at the richest people in the world and you look at where their money came from, it's either real estate or they started their own company, right? They started a company that actually can grow. Real estate is the other one. It's time that we start using that we give context to our consumers in a time where they need it. But the only way to really do that is to say, yeah, I own property as well. Not just my residential property. That's important. That's the first step to long-term generational wealth, right? Then you got to take that next step. How many of you, Carrie, I'm going to point at you because you're here and I know you well. How many times in your life, if you went back to look at the amount of time you could have invested in real estate, you could be a passive income? I mean, how many times in your life have you thought we should have bought property? I think one of those things was going to be right now, you guys. I think right this very second. I bet that I don't bet. I will tell you that we know that the market is going to increase locally somewhere between 9 and 15%. So think about that. Is there some danger in property investing, Raina? Yeah, a little bit. When you know that the market's in expanse, right? And you know that it's growing, there's opportunity, and that opportunity is prime for you guys. We're going to build this conversation throughout the year. Before the meeting today, Chad and I had a brief conversation. Chad, you want to come up and talk a little bit about what you've got going on? And then I want to also talk a little bit about Chad.
So who else hates the A word? Accountability. Sometimes it terrifies me, right? So what I did was I signed up for something called 7 in 90. Has anyone heard of that? MAPS coaching program, $7,500. I already paid $2,500. I got to pay $2,500 this month, $2,500 next month. Daily accountability. Daily accountability with 10 to 15 of my KW commercial peers. The seven figures database income pipeline. We want us to get 7 figures of signed exclusive contracts in my database, 90 days. I've never done it. Has anyone else done that?
No.
That'd be triple what
Right.
triple what I've sold, right? So I decided I mentor a lot of junior brokers and newer commercial brokers, and I'm asking them to lead gen. I'm holding them accountable. We do the GPS in the 411.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, if I'm asking them to do it, I might as well do it. So the key thing that, we start on Thursday, and the key thing they're having us track is back into, like, do you all know what your average sales price is? Could you go through, see average sales price is 350 grand or whatever. If you haven't done that, I'd highly recommend it. Because I was trying to run the numbers on $1 million. My average sales prices, average commission last year was 12,500 per deal, right? So that's 80 transactions that I would need to get into this pipeline, right? It's a lot. And I'm an individual agent that works with NTs as well too. So that's kind of impossible to do. Egg might be able to do it. But, so what we're focused on is where can I farm and who can I talk to get that 12.5 to 20? Then we're 50 transactions, right? Then we also looked at, they had me go back my last 5 years, where's my business coming from, right? So I paid out well over 300,000 in referrals to residential agents, in referrals to a lot of people here over the years, a lot of Remax and Coldwell Banker agents too. So we looked at what's referral, sphere of influence, what's brand new farming type opportunities as well, and crack that. Then that's going to kind of be our call list as well too. So a lot of you may be getting phone calls also. But, yeah, it's going to be scary. So if you see me crying in my office during lead gen time, that is why.
and
Yeah.
Chad, I want to drill down on this a bit because there's a few things here that stick out for me. One, $7,500.
Yeah.
Paying $7,500 to essentially have somebody remind you every single day that you have to do the things that you said you would do. Right?
I mean, I know what to do,
Yeah.
right? We all do.
But at a high level, you needed somebody to step in and say, hey, the accountability is it's an expensive amount to hold yourself accountable for,
Yep.
right? It puts weight on the bar. And I use weight on the bar in that means that you are a great friend will help you lift, or a good friend will help you lift the weight off. A great friend will add weight to the bar. And you add weight to the bar because you can only grow through pain. A few things that I want to point out. I didn't tell Chad we were going to do this part, but a few things I'd like to point out about Chad that I think is important for you guys is Chad's not afraid to do hard shit. I mean, you've done a few things physically in your lifetime that such a small number of the population has ever actually done. Tell me about what it feels like to do hard shit. Like, where's that mentality come from? Where does that willingness to do hard shit come from?
I think one of the key things, especially with the KW culture, I mean, if we feel like we're the top of our game here in Roseville, Minnesota, go to Austin, Texas, or go to family reunion, right? And just see the fact that we're just a tiny speck in terms of some of the production. You know, there's individuals and teams. Like for me personally, I've been fortunate in the North Central region to do well, but nationally, you know, I'm not that good. You know, that's how I see it, right? And so I get to partner up with 10 to 15 of my peers who are doing $1 million a year in gross commission income. And so it's an opportunity to raise my game. Even if I don't hit $1 million and I set my new standard to 500K a year.
Yep.
You know, Julie and I, and to go to your question, I picture my father retired when he was an entrepreneur. He retired at 6 or 7, I think it was. Put 6 kids through Catholic school. I mean, he worked his ass off, right? I'd like to retire with a 5 in front of it, and at least from a retirement standpoint, not work 6 days a week, right? And choose when I can work. And then you asked about rental property too. We should have,
Yep.
right? You know, we're 15%, 15 to 20% of the monthly passive income number that we hoped for by this time. So 20%.
Yeah.
We're behind.
Yeah.
We're ahead on everything else, but behind on that.
Yep.
And so that's a big piece of being able to, you know, determine when you're the
Apparently,
lead answer.
apparently, Martha wanted to start the year off like this.
So one of the main reasons for doing it is to be able to get to a point, have enough income where I can control my schedule a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a point there, I think that is important that we drill down on too, and that is a lot of times we have a tendency to do the things that we think will get us to that point, only to take a step back, right? So I want to lose weight, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the gym every morning. I'm going to work out, or I want to get fit. And then I hit a certain point and then I stop, and then I regress the whole time, right? I love what you're saying, because I think that one, it is true that you guys have, you and Julie have a very specific idea of what you want to accomplish. One. Two, in order to accomplish that, you will also know that you have to be committed to the activity. That's where the pain comes in. There's 2 points of pain in our life: the pain of doing it, the pain of not doing it. The pain of not doing it will hold on forever. We'll always look back and say, I wish I would have bought a property this year, right? When's the best time to buy a piece of property? Yesterday. Yesterday. So my point is when you take somebody like Chad and we go, and I might say, God, I wish I could run an ultra marathon. Never going to actually say that out loud. The point though I have is that you took on an ultra marathon knowing that there was going to be a lot of pain.
and a lot of failure. I mean, I've started 700 milers, finished 3, right? So now my goal is to finish more than I failed at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because I mean, 0.01% of the population do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Point
Or finish one.
0.01%.
Yeah. I think a marathon's 1%.
Yeah.
Like that, or a little more.
Yeah.
But Raina and I were actually talking about this morning because she's going to do a half marathon. She
Atta-
signed up for a half
At a
marathon.
girl.
And she's like, I can't get past like mile 2. I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to keep doing it. Right. And so we were talking more about Raina, half miler right there, or half marathoner.
Yes.
Then, then you have 75 hard right here.
Yes.
Me did 75. I mean, everyone does. I mean, it's just there's things that we choose to do, but the key thing is the manageable chunks of it,
That's
right?
it.
And like you mentioned, we're not always going to be motivated, so we need to be disciplined. Right? That's right.
That's it.
So we're not going to, like, I wasn't motivated today to get out of bed. My trainer was waiting 30 minutes away, and I knew he was going to kick my butt. And I was like, I got to go, right? And so the key thing though is do that first piece. Get the database organized, make the phone call. I think too often we organize, we prepare to prepare. We don't just make that first phone call.
No.
And I've seen first, and I've got a program. Of them are actually making the phone calls, and they're so pumped about this year because they're action. They've had some big struggles with their phone calls, but they have, a couple of them have 50K in pipeline already.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a matter of go for a walk. If you want to do a half marathon,
Yep.
just walk every other day.
Yeah.
Right? And then run. Just, make the phone calls. If you're not making the phone calls, I'd say focus on what's your lead gen lever as
Mhm.
well. So if you're social media, if you're print mailers, if you're whatever the case may be, find that niche and kind of go after it.
Yeah. No, I'm enamored by the reality of people that feed in spite. Every single person that that is successful is succeeding in spite of something in their life that, had they allowed it to hold them back, would have. Right? I'm vulnerable with you guys. I did not make it through bowl. I didn't. I got a couple of fouls early, and those fouls I could have made up. I chose not to. Just quit. So in that, I have to know that there are moments in your life where there will be desire to quit, but the discipline, the accountability, having somebody else or having multitudes of people in your life that are going to be there to say, hey, where are you today? Where are your numbers? Or did you show up? And then you're going to have an excuse, right? Because you're going to say, well, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. But I'm reminded of the fact that there have been a couple of the gentleman that I was with last week, 17 deals, 21. You guys, he looks 12. And he got 21 deal, or he got 17 deal, right? I'm drawn to the young man, Montez McCray from Washington, D.C., who stood on stage at family reunion. And now he is the number 2 solo agent in the D.C., Virginia area. And he's 26 or 27. I don't even know if he's that old, you guys. And so my point isn't just that young people can do it. Not my point. My point is that if you take on hard stuff and you do it, even when it doesn't come easy, result is so much better. I have one other thing that I want to remind you of. How many of you have given a referral to Chad? I love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I've worked with Chad in a couple of different times, and this didn't start out like a commercial for Chad, but it should be. Chad has helped me in 3 different scenarios finding office space for different companies that I was with at the time. And if you haven't worked with Chad, he did things. The other agent that I'd worked with before Chad, I won't say his name, nice guy, also with KW. The difference in service that you provided was, it was incredible. You came prepared. You always let us know. You always did the negotiating. I mean, you had everything taken care of. So if you have somebody in your database right now that you haven't reached out to, that bring this up as a conversation, right? Hey, things are shifting in the world. And we just had a conversation with our commercial agent today. And I know that you family owns this or something. Have that conversation. It gives you a conversation with them. Let me introduce you to him so that if you ever need somebody, whether it's to unload a piece of property or you want to add to your portfolio an investment piece, Chad is an incredible resource. So that's all I got to say, Chad. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah. He is. He is. And we're grateful to have him here. Not all the offices have somebody that is, and not only that, you guys, but Chad's also the picture of this. He's in his office, door closed. He's focused, making calls. He's led groups for us. So here's the question that I'm asking you, and we're going to get out of here early today. Here's the question I'm asking you, and I'll leave this. Where are you going to be this year? Are you going to stop letting yourself down? Or are you going to stop quitting? Are you going to start committing? Are you going to start finding accountability? And are you going to do the hard things that you have avoided? Are you going to commit to that workout plan? Are you going to commit to more time with your family? Are you going to commit to more call time? Whatever it is that you're going to commit to, if you need help in this, you guys, let's get together. Last thing is this. In 12 months, we will be having this same conversation. It'll be new, it'll be 25, and another year of your life will be gone. And we'll be talking about the same things: weight loss, better relationships, more faithful conversations with whatever spiritual being you feel you're most attracted to. If you don't make that step today, if you don't finish something that you've been putting off, if you don't commit to something that you've been avoiding, you will leave here and you'll go about the same day, and it'll be a week, and it'll be a month, and you'll think, oh, too late for me to start that. I'm going to wait again. Whether it's learning a language, right? Whether it's taking on something else. One of the coolest things that I saw from some of the people I've had conversations with, I met a person about my age, and every single year they found something hard that they wanted to accomplish. Run a marathon, check, right? Speak a language, check. They now speak 3 languages, including one of them is Portuguese, right? Which is a really difficult language. My point is that when's the last time that you did something that was hard? When's the last time that you stuck with it, even when it felt like you weren't getting anywhere? If you guys do that this year, moving into this is going to be not only the best year yet of your life, it's going to be the best year yet in your business. Stop thinking about the creative ways you can circumvent the thing you don't want. Did this for 10 years. Came up with all the realities of my life to avoid the fact that I needed accountability and models. I needed somebody else to hold me to it. I needed external accountability. If you need external accountability, let's find somebody. Come to me. We're going to start one of the major things that we're going to move into. We're just putting the final touches on it, is accountability groups. Different times of the morning, early ass in the morning. We're not getting together at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because by that point we're all out of gas. We're talking about a 7 o'clock to 7:30 accountability group that says, simple. Where are your goals? Did you hit your numbers from yesterday? No? Okay. You're in red. You hit your numbers yesterday? Yeah, you're in green. And we're not going to let everybody know what your goal is or where you're at, but you're going to be red or green. And you're going to see it, and it's going to hurt. And it's going to feel uncomfortable at first, because you're going to know that everybody knows that you're failing yourself. Because you're not failing me. You're not failing the market center. You're failing you, and you're failing your family. Right? And it's not necessarily, you guys, I want to leave it as it's not that I want you to go out and everybody in here to close $1 million. Love that. But for you, but it's probably not something that's going to happen. Whatever the goal that you set, and if you leave here today, not just in this room, but if you leave the office today and you haven't set a goal, How do you gonna what are you gonna do the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month? Set a goal, find the accountability, and let's kick some ass in 24. I'm excited to be here with you guys. I know that you guys are excited to be here. We are surrounded by people who love you and want what's best for you. Let's lean in and kick ass. That's all I got for you guys.